Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at equations of a circle, and there's two types of equations of a circle. We'll be looking at circles in standard form, and then later next week we'll be looking at equations in general form. Okay, so today we'll be looking at standard form. And two things that we really always need when we're trying to write the equation of a circle is the center of the circle, which is always in the middle, and the radius of the circle. So how far is it from the center of the circle to a side of the circle? So those are two things that I need if I want to write the equation. Here's the formula for an equation in standard form. Okay, so in this equation right here, we're actually able to find our center and radius pretty easily. It's kind of like vertex form when we talked about parabolas. The x value of our center is going to be right here. The y value of our center will be right here. And the radius of the circle is going to be right here. So if I was trying to find the center, I'm just going to write down h, comma, k. That will be the center of the circle. So if I was putting this on the graph, the coordinates of the center are going to be wherever h and k are. And notice that h and k are opposite signs of what we see in the equation. And this is just like the vertex of a parabola. All right, so if h is negative here, it's actually a positive. If k is negative here, it's actually a positive, and vice versa. If it were positive in the equation, we're going to see a negative right there. Okay, and then our radius will just be r. Okay, and again, notice that this is r squared. So if this number were 25, I would actually have to take the square root of 25, and my radius would be 5 in that case. Okay, so let's take a look at how that works. So here it says find the center and radius from standard form. Okay, so just to remind us, I'm going to write the formula again. So we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Okay, so for this first example here, the center will be 4, -1. Okay, so that 4 is coming from there, -1 is coming from there. Remember, it's the opposites of what we see here and here. Okay, the radius is going to be 5 because we have to take the square root of 25. Okay, the next one, the center is going to be point 0, 2. Okay, so our x value is 0 because there's nothing being added or subtracted from the x. So if we don't see anything there, there's really a 0 there that's being subtracted. Okay, the radius is going to be the square root of 12. Okay, and then go back to previous units we talked about. We actually know how to simplify this thing. So I'm going to break it apart. We've got 2 times 6. That breaks apart as 2 times 3. So since I have a pair of 2's, there's going to be a 2 on the outside, and that 3 is stuck on the inside. So the radius of this circle is actually 2 square root of 3. And we should also be able to take a center and radius that we're given and use that to write the equation of a circle. Okay, so again, if the formula is this, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to r squared, this first equation is going to be this: x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 16. Okay, this next one is going to be x squared plus y squared is equal to 3. Okay, and then the last one that we see there, we're going to say x minus 9 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to this 2 root 7 squared, okay? So we actually need to square 2 root 7. And let me just go over here and square that. So 2 root 7 squared is actually going to be 2 squared times root 7 squared. So 2 squared is 4. Root 7 squared will just be 7, so it's actually just 28. Okay, so right here, our radius squared is actually 28, and that would be the equation of that circle. We should also be able to write the equation of a circle if we're given the center and the area. Okay, so remember the two things we need are the center and the radius. So if I know that the formula for area is pi r squared, I'm going to use the area to figure out what the radius is. So if the area is 49 pi, then that's equal to pi r squared. So immediately pi and pi cancel out. So my radius here is actually 7. Okay, so to write the equation of this circle, we're going to say x plus 8 squared plus y plus 10 squared is equal to 49. Okay, this next one, we're given the circumference. So remember the formula for circumference is this: c is equal to 2 pi r. Okay, so if my circumference is 20 pi, that's equal to 2 pi r. Again, these pi's are going to cancel out. And then we just need to divide by 2, and we end up with r is equal to 10. Okay, so the equation of this circle will be this: x minus 7 squared plus y minus 8 squared is equal to 100. Sometimes we're going to be given different information. We kind of have to break it apart to figure out what the center and the radius of my circle are. A couple of important formulas that we're going to see or need to use are going to be the distance formula and the midpoint formula. Okay, so if I need to find what either the radius or the diameter are, okay, if I'm given points and I need to find out how far those points are apart, we're going to use the distance formula. Okay, if I need to find the midpoint of 2 points, so in this case, if I'm given the diameter, if I'm given the endpoints of the diameter, then I need to know what's in the middle of those to figure out where the center is. I would use the midpoint formula. So here's an example that would require that. All right, so it says write the equation of the circle. If circle K passes through the point 6, 4, and it has a center at 1, negative 8. Okay, so let's just kind of think about like what that looks like on the coordinate grid. So I have a center at 1, negative 8 down here, and then it passes through the point 6, 4. Okay, so we're going to have something that looks kind of like that. Okay, so what I need are the center, which I already have, and I need to know what the radius is. Okay, so in order to find the radius, I need to find the distance between those 2 points. Okay, so using the distance formula, d is equal to root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. I'm going to find the distance. Okay, so this first part of the formula is asking what's the difference between my x values. So 6 and 1, how far are those two numbers apart? They are 5 apart. So we have d is equal to the square root of 5 squared plus the difference between the y values, so 4 and negative 8, they are actually 12 apart. So we're going to say 12 squared. And then combine those two things. So 25 and 144, it's going to be d is equal to root 169, which is 13. Okay, so this right here, this 13, is my radius. So now that I have the center and the radius, here is the equation of this circle. We're gonna have x minus 1 squared plus y minus 13 squared. Oh, back up. I was looking at the wrong number there. The y value is actually negative 8 up here. So that'll be y plus 8 squared is equal to the radius squared. So radius is 13, so that's going to be 169. So that would be the equation of the circle. Okay, here's another example. So it says circle M has endpoints on the diameter, -2, 4, and 8, -6, okay? So what I know here, if I have the endpoints of a diameter, okay, is that the center is in between these. And I also know that the radius is half of the diameter. So I'm gonna need to use the midpoint formula to figure out what the center is. I'm gonna use the distance formula to find the diameter and then cut that in half, and that's gonna be my radius. Okay, so let's work that out. So midpoint formula, we have x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, so that's going to be -2 plus 8 over 2 and 4 minus 6 over 2. So -2 plus 8 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 minus 6 is -2. -2 divided by 2 is going to be -1. So this right here is the center. Okay, so next thing, let's find the diameter. So using the distance formula, again, we have d is equal to the square root of, and I'm not going to write that formula again, but remember we have the difference between our x values. So the difference between our x values from -2 to 8, those are 10 units apart. So that's going to be 10 squared. The difference between our y values going from 4 to -6, those are also 10 apart. So that will be 10 squared as well. If I simplify that, I've got d is equal to root 200, okay? And I could actually simplify that if I break it apart. That breaks apart as 2 and 100. 100 breaks apart as 10 and 10. So since I have a pair of 10s here, and this 2 is stuck by itself, we're going to have 10 on the outside, root 2 on the inside. So that is the diameter of the circle. So if I want the radius, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this thing in half. So r is equal to 5 root 2. That is the radius of this circle. So now the equation of my circle is going to be this: x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared is equal to the radius squared. All right, so let's go over here and let's square the radius. So 5 root 2 squared, that means I have 5 squared times root 2 squared, which would be 25 times 2. My radius squared is going to be 50, so we're going to see a 50 right there in our equation. And that's it. That would be the equation of this circle right here. We're also going to graph some circles. Okay, so here are some steps for graphing circles. First thing, rewrite the equation in standard form. We're going to see equations that are already written in standard form for the most part today. Second part, identify the center and the radius. So use that formula to figure out what the center and radius are. And then plot the center and then 4 more points. So use the radius to count up, down, left, and right to plot those points. So let's take a look at that. So first thing here, we want this in standard form. Okay, so standard form means I have x squared first, y squared second, and then a number on the right side. So this x squared right here needs to move to the left side. So it's going to be x squared plus y squared. This -9 needs to move to the other side as well, so that's going to be 9 on the right side. So the center of this is the point 0, 0, because nothing is being added to x and nothing is being added to y. The radius is 3, because the square root of 9 is 3. So on our graph over here, the center is the point 0, 0, and then we are going to plot 3 or 4 points going around. So we're going to go up 3, go to the right 3, go down 3, and go left 3. Okay, and then just connect those points the best you can with a circle. And we end up with this right here. So that is our circle. Okay, and it's centered at 0, 0. All right, here's another example. Again, find the center and the radius. So the center of this is going to be, this time it's going to be +2, -5. Our radius is equal to root 13. I have to take the square root of that number we see over there. Okay, so root 13 doesn't do a lot for me if I'm looking at a graph. I need an actual number here. So let's take the square root of 13 and approximate that to the nearest tenth. So if I take the square root of 13, that is going to be 3.6. Okay, so this is going to be approximate. Our center is at 2, -5 here. And then we're going to go up 3.6 from there. So 1, 2, 3.6. Go to the right 3.6. Go down 3.6. It'll take me off the grid a little bit. And then go to the left 3.6. Which will take me there. And connect those points, and that'll be your circle. So that is our circle here. All right, so one more thing that we should be able to do, if we're given the picture of a circle, we should be able to find the center and the radius, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna draw a line going through what I think is the middle of the circle, okay? And then another line going through what I think is the center of the circle, okay? So we can see that the center of the circle is right here. Okay, so that is the point 2, -5. And then our radius is 1, 2, 3, 4. The radius is 4. So since I have the center and the radius, I can create the equation. The equation is going to be this: x minus 2 squared plus y plus 5 squared is equal to 16. So that would be our equation, okay? So please go check out the assignment on Canvas and let me know if you have any questions on this. Have a great day.